What happens when one of the most powerful voices in television walks onto a daytime talk show expecting a thoughtful conversation, but ends up in a tense, emotional exchange that leaves the entire table silent, the audience divided, and even the hosts visibly shaken? Make sure to subscribe to Talk Show Fallout, and like and comment for more talk show coverage. The audience applauds as Oprah Winfrey walks onto the stage, smiling warmly, waving with that familiar calm presence. She looks composed, confident, completely in control, the kind of energy that instantly shifts a room. Whoopi Goldberg nods respectfully as Oprah takes her seat at the table. There's a sense of mutual respect at first, something unspoken but clear. Joy Behar leans in slightly, smiling. Oprah, it's always a moment when you're here. You don't just visit shows, you arrive. The audience chuckles lightly. Oprah smiles. Well, I'm happy to be here. Always good to sit down and actually talk. Sunny Hostin adds, and we have a lot to talk about, your recent comments, your interviews, especially what you said about media responsibility. Oprah nods slowly. Yes, I think we're in a time where words matter more than ever. Whoopi leans back slightly, hands folded. They've always mattered. There's a small pause, not awkward yet, but noticeable. Oprah turns toward her. They have. But now the impact is amplified. One statement can shape millions of opinions instantly. Whoopi shrugs a little. Or maybe people just finally see things for what they are. The tone is still calm, but there's a subtle shift. The audience senses it. You can feel the room becoming more attentive. Alyssa Farah Griffin jumps in to keep things balanced. So, Oprah, when you say responsibility, are you talking about hosts, journalists, or just public figures in general? Oprah responds carefully. All of us. Anyone with a platform. When you speak, people listen. And that comes with accountability. Joy nods. But don't you think sometimes people expect too much? I mean, we're on live TV. We react, we debate. Oprah smiles slightly, but her tone tightens just a bit. Debate is one thing. Influence is another. Whoopi raises an eyebrow. So what are you saying exactly? That we're irresponsible. The audience goes quiet. Oprah doesn't immediately answer. She takes a breath. I'm saying there are moments when conversations become less about truth and more about reaction. Whoopi leans forward now. That's a strong statement. Oprah meets her gaze. It's an honest one. There's a brief pause. You can hear a few murmurs from the audience. Sunny tries to ease the tension. I think what Oprah is getting at is the difference between discussion and impact. Whoopi cuts in, still calm but firmer now. No, I hear what she's saying. I just want to understand. Are you talking about this show specifically? Oprah shakes her head slightly. I'm talking about the culture of conversation across media. Joy interjects, half joking but probing. Well, this is media. Light laughter from the audience, but it fades quickly. Oprah nods. Yes, it is. And it's powerful, which is why it matters how we handle sensitive topics. Whoopi exhales softly. We've been doing this a long time. We don't take it lightly. Oprah responds, still composed but clearly more direct now. I'm not questioning experience. I'm questioning moments. That lands. The audience reacts with a low, oh, sensing the shift. Alyssa glances between them. What kind of moments are you referring to? Oprah pauses again, longer this time. Moments where the conversation moves so fast that empathy gets lost. Whoopi tilts her head slightly. Empathy from who? Oprah answers. From everyone at the table. That's the first moment the tension becomes undeniable. Whoopi's expression tightens just a bit. We're human. We react. That's part of being real. Oprah nods. And being real also means being aware of how those reactions land. Joy tries to lighten it again. Are we getting a performance review right now? She jokes. A few audience laughs break the tension, but Oprah doesn't laugh. I'm having a conversation. Whoopi responds quickly. So are we. There's a slight overlap in their voices. The kind that doesn't happen unless both people feel strongly. Sunny steps in again. I think this is actually an important discussion, because audiences do look to shows like this for guidance. Whoopi turns to Sunny. They look for honesty. Oprah adds, and honesty without reflection can be harmful. The room gets quieter again. You can see the shift in body language now, Whoopi sitting more upright, Oprah leaning slightly forward, both fully engaged. Alyssa carefully asks, do you feel like there have been specific conversations here that crossed that line? Oprah looks at her, then back at Whoopi. I think there have been moments where the tone overshadowed the message. Whoopi doesn't look away. Give me one. The audience reacts, louder this time. That's a direct challenge. Oprah takes a breath. This isn't about calling out one moment. It's about recognizing a pattern. Whoopi shakes her head slightly. No, if you're going to say something like that on this table, then say it clearly. Joy leans back, whispering half to herself but audible. Oh boy, the audience laughs nervously. Oprah's tone becomes firmer, not louder but more deliberate. What I'm saying is, sometimes the urgency to respond becomes more important than the responsibility to understand. Whoopi responds immediately. Or maybe we just don't agree with you. Oprah nods. And that's okay. Disagreement is healthy. But how we express it matters. Whoopi. And who decides that? Oprah. We all do, collectively. Whoopi lets out a small laugh, but there's no humor in it. That sounds nice. But in reality, people speak how they speak. Oprah. And that's exactly the problem. The audience reacts again, louder this time. Sunny looks genuinely concerned now. Okay, I think we're getting into something deeper here. But Whoopi isn't backing off. No, let's stay here. Because I want to understand. Are you saying we're part of the problem? Oprah doesn't hesitate this time. I'm saying we all are. Silence. For a split second, no one speaks. The audience doesn't clap, doesn't react. They're just watching. Joy finally breaks it. Well, that's a big statement. Alyssa nods slowly. It is. Whoopi leans back again, but her eyes stay locked on Oprah. I've spent years trying to give people a space to speak their truth. Oprah responds calmly. And I respect that. I truly do. Whoopi, but... Oprah. Matter what I say, it's like you already decided it's not enough. Another host quickly adds, I think what Sunny's trying to say. No, let her say it, Travis interrupts, still looking directly at Sunny. I want to hear exactly what she thinks. Sunny doesn't hesitate. I think people want accountability that feels real. Not statements, not PR responses, real acknowledgement. Travis leans back slightly, shaking his head. You keep saying people. Which people? Because my fans, the people I actually connect with, they know who I am. Sunny responds instantly. And what about the people who feel hurt? Do they not matter? A noticeable "oh" comes from parts of the audience. They do matter, Travis says firmly. That's exactly why I'm saying you can't just reduce everything to one narrative. Sunny presses. But isn't that what you're doing right now? Focusing only on your supporters. Travis' tone rises a bit more. No, I'm saying there's more than one side. But you're not giving that any room. One of the co-hosts raises her hand slightly, trying again to mediate. Okay, let's bring this back for a second. Travis, can you tell us, what responsibility do you feel personally as an artist when something goes wrong at your events? There's a pause. This question lands differently. Travis takes a breath before answering. I feel responsibility to make sure people have the best experience possible. That's always been my focus. Sunny jumps in quickly, but that didn't answer the question. Travis looks at her, clearly frustrated now. It did. You just didn't like the answer. The audience reacts again, louder this time. Sunny leans forward again. No, it didn't. Because the question is about when things go wrong, not when things go right. Another host softly says, Sunny, but she continues, people want to hear you acknowledge that. Travis sits up straighter, his voice more intense now. And I have. You just keep acting like I haven't. Sunny responds, because many feel like it hasn't been enough. Travis shakes his head again, more visibly this time. That's your perspective. Not everyone's. Sunny replies, it's not just mine. And it's not the only one either, Travis fires back. The audience is fully split now, applause on both sides, mixed with uneasy murmurs. One of the co-hosts tries to lighten the tension slightly. This is clearly something people feel strongly about. And I think that's why this conversation matters. But Travis cuts in again, this time calmer but more deliberate. No, what matters is fairness. If you're going to have me here, let's have a real conversation, not a one-sided interrogation. That line gets a strong reaction, a wave of claps from parts of the audience. Sunny's expression tightens slightly. It's not an interrogation. It's accountability. And I'm giving you answers, Travis says. You just keep moving the goalpost. Sunny immediately responds, because you keep avoiding the core issue. Travis leans forward again, clearly more animated now. No, I'm not avoiding anything. You just want a specific answer. And if I don't say it your way, it's not good enough. The audience reacts loudly again. Another host finally steps in more assertively. Okay, hold on. We need to make sure this stays respectful on both sides. Travis nods quickly. I'm being respectful. Sunny replies, so am I. But the tone says otherwise. The co-host continues. Let's try this differently. Travis, what would you say to someone watching right now who feels like they haven't heard what they need from you? There's a longer pause this time. Travis looks out toward the audience briefly, then back at the panel. His voice lowers slightly, more controlled, but still firm. I'd say, don't let other people speak for me. Listen to what I'm actually saying. Sunny responds almost immediately. And what you're saying is, I'm saying I care. I'm saying I've always cared. And I'm saying I'm still here, still working, still trying to do better every day. Sunny nods slightly, but doesn't back off. But for some people, that still doesn't feel like accountability. Travis exhales again, clearly frustrated. You keep saying that. What does accountability look like to you? The audience goes quiet again. This question shifts the dynamic. Sunny pauses for a moment, then answers. It looks like ownership. Clear, direct ownership. No deflection. Travis nods slowly. And you don't think I've done that? Sunny shakes her head slightly. Not in the way people expect. Travis gives a small, disbelieving smile. So, basically, unless I say exactly what you want, it doesn't count. Sunny replies, unless it feels genuine, people will question it. Travis leans back again, looking away briefly before turning back. That's the issue. You're measuring something you can't define. The audience reacts again, more murmurs, more tension. One of the co-hosts quietly says, this is getting really intense. And it is. Sunny looks directly at Travis. No, what's intense is avoiding responsibility in a situation where people were affected. That line lands hard. The audience lets out a louder collective reaction. Travis immediately responds, his voice rising again. I'm not avoiding anything. You don't get to say that. Sunny holds her ground. I just did. The tension spikes instantly. Another host jumps in quickly, almost talking over both of them. Okay, we're going to take a quick pause, but the damage is done. Travis shakes his head again, clearly frustrated, leaning back, but still visibly engaged. Sunny sits upright, composed but firm. The audience is buzzing now, whispers, reactions, phones coming out. And even as the show tries to regain control, it's obvious to everyone watching. This conversation has crossed into something much bigger than anyone expected. As the show comes back from the brief pause, the energy hasn't settled. If anything, it feels heavier. The audience is quieter now, more alert, like everyone knows they're watching something that could go even further off track at any second. One of the co-hosts steps in quickly, trying to regain structure. All right, we're back. This is clearly a passionate conversation, and we want to make sure everyone has a chance to be heard. Travis sits forward again, elbows resting lightly on his knees, eyes focused. Sunny remains composed, but her posture is firm, unshaken. The co-host continues. Travis, I want to give you the floor for a moment. Say what you feel hasn't been said yet. There's a short pause. Travis nods slowly. What hasn't been said is that people are quick to judge situations they weren't part. Still, no claps, no murmurs, just silence. Sunny's expression softens immediately. That's honest, she says gently. Hallie nods, but there's something in her eyes now, something heavier. And that's not easy to admit, Sunny adds. Hallie gives a small, almost distant smile. No, it's not. There's another pause. And then Hallie continues, more slowly now, choosing every word. But I also think those moments taught me who I actually am. A few people in the audience begin to clap softly. Whoopi nods. That's growth. Hallie nods once. But then she adds something that shifts the energy again. Just slightly. But I don't think those moments need to be revisited over and over again in public. There it is again. Not sharp, but clear. Sunny hears it. Everyone hears it. Sunny nods, more seriously now. I understand. But there's a hint of tension returning. Not as strong as before, but present. Hallie sits quietly for a second, then looks back at Sunny. And I hope you understand where I'm coming from, she says. Sunny meets her gaze. I do. Another pause. But this one doesn't fully resolve anything. Because even though both of them are being respectful, they're not completely aligned. And the audience can feel it. The conversation has moved from surface-level tension to something deeper. Something more personal, more emotional. And it's clear now, this isn't just an interview anymore. It's a moment. The silence lingers just a second longer than usual. The kind that only happens on live television when everyone is aware that something real just unfolded, and no one wants to rush past it too quickly. Halle Berry shifts slightly in her chair, uncrossing her arms now, placing one hand gently on the table as if she's grounding herself. Her expression is calm, but there's a visible weight behind it, not discomfort exactly, but emotional exposure. Whoopi Goldberg steps in, her voice steady, experienced. You know, this is why these conversations matter, she says, looking between Halle and Sunny Hostin. Because people don't always see what it takes to get to where someone is. They just see the result. Halle nods once, appreciative of the shift in tone. Sunny nods too, but she leans forward again, not aggressively, but with intention. She's clearly not trying to escalate, but she's also not stepping away from the conversation. And I agree with that, Sunny says. I really do. But I also think part of why people connect with you is because you have shared those difficult moments. Halle listens, her face neutral but attentive. Sunny continues, and I think sometimes when we talk about them, it's not to reduce you. It's because people see strength in how you've handled those moments. There's a small murmur of agreement from the audience. Halle nods slowly. I hear that. But then she adds, gently, but there's a difference between honoring something and revisiting it in a way that feels repetitive. Joy Behar jumps in, sensing the delicate balance. So it's about how often and how it's framed, right? Halle looks at her. Exactly. Sunny tilts her head slightly. So would you prefer that people just don't bring those things up anymore? Halle pauses. No, she says. That's not realistic. A few light laughs ripple through the audience. Halle continues. I just think there should be more awareness. More balance. Sunny nods, but then asks, do you think we crossed that line today? There's an immediate reaction. A few gasps, a couple of oh wow whispers from the audience. Whoopi raises her eyebrows slightly, watching Halle carefully. Halle takes a breath. This is the moment. She could deflect. She could soften it. But she doesn't. I think we came close, she says. The audience reacts, louder this time. Not chaos, but definitely a strong response. Sunny's expression changes, not defensive, but more serious now. Close, she repeats. Halle nods. Yeah, there's no hostility in her tone. Just honesty. Sunny leans back slightly, absorbing that. Okay. There's a brief pause, and then Sunny speaks again, more carefully now. I appreciate you saying that directly, she says. Because that's not always easy to do, especially in a setting like this. Halle gives a small nod. I think honesty is important. Sunny agrees. It is. But then she adds, at the same time, I want to be clear. My intention was never to make you uncomfortable. Halle responds immediately. I believe you. That line softens the room again. But she continues, and I'm not uncomfortable because of you specifically. It's just the pattern of these conversations over time. Whoopi nods. That makes sense. Joy adds, so it's bigger than just this moment. Halle looks at her. Exactly. Sunny processes that, then asks quietly, does it ever get exhausting? Halle lets out a small, honest laugh, not humorous but real. Yeah, she says. It does. The audience reacts softly, a few sympathetic sounds. Halle continues, because you want to grow. You want to evolve. You want people to see you as you are now, not just who you were in your hardest moments. That line resonates. You can feel it. Sunny nods slowly. That's fair. But then, almost instinctively, she follows up again. But do you think those hardest moments are what shaped who you are now? There's another shift. Not as sharp as before, but noticeable. Halle looks at her, and this time there's a slight pause before she answers. They're part of it, she says. Sunny nods, waiting. But they're not the whole story, Halle adds. Sunny responds, of course. Halle continues, her voice gaining a bit more strength now. And sometimes I think people focus so much on the struggle that they forget the work. The discipline. The choices. The growth beyond that moment. The audience starts clapping, more confidently this time. Whoopi smiles slightly. That's real. Joy nods. People love a struggle story. Halle gives a small smile. They do. But then her expression becomes more serious again. And I understand why, she says. But I don't want to live in that story forever. That line lands strongly. There's a louder round of applause. Sunny watches her closely, and for the first time, she doesn't immediately respond. She takes a second. Then she says, I respect that. Halle nods. Thank you. There's a brief pause, and it feels like maybe finally the tension is settling. But then Joy, trying to lighten the mood, says, well, let's talk about something. jumps in, sensing this needs to move forward. Okay, I think that's an important moment right there. Some applause builds, though it's mixed. Another host adds, this is what these conversations are about, hearing each other, even when it's uncomfortable. But the tension hasn't fully disappeared. It's just shifted. Sunny finally speaks again, her tone slightly softer, but still firm. I think people will listen to that. I really do. But I also think this conversation shows how much more there is to unpack. Travis nods once. And I'm open to that. Just not like this. Not where it feels like I'm being boxed in. Sunny responds, fair enough. There's a noticeable shift, not resolution, but a pause in the conflict. One of the co-hosts smiles lightly, trying to bring the energy back to something manageable. All right, we're going to take a breath here. Travis, we do appreciate you being here and staying in this conversation. Travis leans back slightly now, the tension in his shoulders easing just a bit. Yeah, I came here to talk. A few audience members clap again, more unified this time, but still not fully relaxed. The co-host continues. And these are the kinds of conversations people are having at home too. It's not easy, but it matters. Sunny nods, looking out toward the audience now instead of directly at Travis. It does matter. The show begins to transition, but you can still feel it. That lingering intensity that doesn't just disappear because the segment is ending. As the cameras widen slightly, the audience applause grows, but it's not the usual upbeat energy. It's more reflective, more uncertain. And that's where the live moment ends. But off camera, things are still moving. According to people who were in the studio, once the segment cut to commercial, there wasn't an immediate reset. The hosts stayed in their seats, talking quietly among themselves. Travis remained at the table for a moment longer before standing up, speaking briefly with a producer. There wasn't any dramatic walk-off. No shouting, just a heavy, unresolved energy hanging in the air. Some audience members reportedly continued discussing what they had just witnessed, even as the next segment was being prepared. And then social media took over. Within minutes of the segment airing, clips started circulating online. Short clips, out-of-context moments. The most intense lines, the interruptions, the direct questions, the sharp responses. Some people praised Sunny for asking the hard questions and not backing down. Others defended Travis, saying he was being pushed unfairly and not given space to answer properly. The conversation quickly split, just like the audience in the studio. Hashtags started trending. Debates started forming. Was it accountability? Or was it confrontation? Was Travis being honest? Or was he avoiding the question? Everyone seemed to have a different answer. Clips of the moment where Travis said, "You're not listening," began circulating widely, with many people relating to that feeling in difficult conversations. At the same time, Sunny's line, "Then show it. Not just say it," also gained traction, with people calling it one of the most direct challenges they'd seen on daytime TV in a while. Even other media outlets started picking it up, replaying the exchange, analyzing body language, tone, and wording. What was meant to be a standard guest appearance had turned into one of the most talked-about segments of the week. And behind the scenes, according to reports, there were discussions about how the conversation was handled, not just by the hosts, but by the production team as well. Some felt it was an important, necessary exchange. Others felt it crossed into something more confrontational than intended. But one thing was clear, it got people talking. And in the world of live television, that's something that doesn't just fade away overnight. As for Travis, he didn't immediately comment publicly after the show. No long statements. No follow-up interviews right away. But fans noticed subtle things, posts, interactions, small signals that suggested he was aware of the conversation and how it was being received. Sunny, on the other hand, addressed it briefly on the next episode, saying that these conversations aren't always comfortable, but they're important. And just like that, the moment became part of a much bigger discussion about accountability, communication, and how public figures are questioned in real time. So what do you think? Was this a necessary conversation that needed to happen on live TV? Or did it go too far? Share your opinion in the comments and subscribe to Talk Show Fallout for more real talk show stories.